What do you know about Sasha Fierce?
KP told me. KP told me.
I was gonna bring up something a little bit more now, but it's okay. I'm not supposed to know about that one either.
Oh my word!
I'm not supposed to know about that one.
Okay, bro, we're live.
Yeah. We are live. We are live, everybody. Hey, good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon. We are here again on a Thursday. And what we're doing right now is that we're just basically setting up before we go on. You know, with technology now, you know, we can't be all scared and shy to show who we are.
Not at all.
So
yes, we can.
I gotta turn this volume down now. Look at that. See that? Don't interfere with the broadcast. Chat window's open.
Is the chat window open?
Yeah. Let me share to Black Toronto. And yep. And we're good. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome once again to another session of Dollars and Cents. Right?
Dollars and Cents.
Yes, we have Keisha with us, Keisha Johnson from RTS Financial.
Yeah.
What's going on, Keisha? Unmute yourself, man, and say something. Say hi, hello.
Keisha playing shy today.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
How was the week so far?
Week is good. The week is good.
Okay. This business going all right, even though COVID is still raging out there.
Yes, business is still going. COVID is not stopping.
Can't you tell that business is raging? Look at the Durham region, $1 million houses.
Yes.
And stuff. Put up that article for Durham region, KP.
Okay. But just before we do that, we have our guest as well. She's here, but we're gonna queue her up after. She is here to help us navigate. I'm just throwing that out there.
All right, we have our guest. We will set her up. Do we introduce her now or later?
It's up to you. What do you want us to do?
You could introduce me at the end, whatever.
All right. Yeah, I get that.
So you want to queue that up, Wade?
Yeah, let me introduce Adriana right now.
Okay.
She is our money navigator, and she's going to help us today to navigate how we can navigate our money.
Look at that.
You know
it's not going to the right places right now. So
it's not like the vehicle navigator. She's taking us a little better, a little deeper.
Yeah, man.
And she's going to help us to show us how we can manage our family's finances. And but she's gonna hook us up. And so
in the bio, in her bio, by the way, I saw something about not budget, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
budget.
People tell you to budget, and she's talking about budgeting doesn't work and stuff like that. But she's gonna tell us what's better than a budget.
You got it.
I can't wait. So to all those who are watching and all those who are listening or whatever you're doing, you can't miss the rest of this show. Anyhow, before we get to Adriana, let's cue up that document about the housing market that's happening in Durham region.
Hot.
That's right up Keisha's alley.
Right up her street, down her lane.
It might be my house. Let's see if it's my house.
All right. You might be starting earlier than we thought, Adri.
Hey.
Yeah. And so as we get ready to get that. Yeah, here we go. $1 million in Pickering housing market.
Can I look before anything else is said? Let me say this. Of course, I live in Ajax, right?
Look at that.
So Pickering is just right next door, and I saw some homes. I'm like laughing because it's not a detached home. It's just these little things, and I see the prices go for these homes. I'm like, what is going on?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Consumer demand, that's what's going on. Location.
Strong in Durham. So you do things on this side here, Keisha?
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
Homes in the Durham region as well, and it's quite challenging, especially for single family homes where income is capped or limited.
mm-hmm.
A lot of bidding wars that are happening that are pushing people right out very easily.
Yeah, and it's pushing people further east because
Mhm.
Yeah.
people used to leave Toronto hoping
Yeah.
to get a place in Pickering, Ajax.
Ajax,
Right
right?
now, people have to go to like past Bowmanville and just
Yeah.
keep driving.
Not even Whitby and Oshawa is like becoming like,
Yeah.
you know,
Oshawa's hot property,
yeah.
like seriously hot. The entry level first time home buyer is having a challenge to
Yep.
get into the market in Oshawa.
Yeah, but when you look at Oshawa though, with the plant closing, isn't that going to affect? Don't you think that's going to affect housing prices
Well,
in
you have
Oshawa?
to remember the plant closing is setting people up with the packages.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
before I
okay.
became the navigator, my traditional financial advisory job, we handled a lot of GMers
Okay.
who were given the 30 and out. So once you work at GM for 30 years, you get to go out. These people are coming out of there with 6 and 7 digit packages.
What are you
So,
saying?
oh yeah, just working on the line.
So okay, so you said before you became a navigator, you were a GM product.
No, I was never a GM product. Thank God.
Is it-
Got nothing against GM. I drove a terrain for a while, but yeah, I fixed the GM product.
Yeah, that's
Boom.
right.
He should just got
Thanks for fixing that, Hadri. You know, just in case
Right
they
there.
want to drop us a little sponsorship gift, you know.
all right. So
So it says here the average price in Durham region reached a record high for July, 700,000. Wow.
my
That's
God.
the average.
Market is busy and many areas are now in phase 3. Realtors are encouraged to continue to practice safe measures and follow health official guidelines. And they gotta throw that line in there, right?
We have to.
For the first time, the cost of a detached home in Pickering climbed to $1 million.
I'm surprised at that because I know of other $1 million properties in Pickering. I know of a few, so I'm surprised that this is saying for the first time.
First time, yeah. I mean, this is the DurhamRegion.com news.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's red hot.
Red hot, yeah.
It's not my house, so I'll keep on chugging.
Oh, that's because yours is 2 million.
Listen, don't be spreading things like that, Mr. Affleck.
Hey. Wait.
Wade.
Anything else? Anything else on this, or you want us to jump to the next topic?
Real
I think
estate
that
is
pretty much.
so
I think
better not get started.
Yeah, I think we're good with that.
So if this is a detached home, I mean, you know, the townhouses and something smaller is like what, still high?
It's
Yeah,
still high.
it's
Listen,
still high.
I came back a little late because you're talking about if you want any decent starter houses prices, you got to go out.
Yeah.
Move out. So.
Yeah. But there
Far
are
east, far north.
Yeah, there are people doing it, and if you are an entrepreneur or if you have the opportunity to work remotely, going out further east is not such a bad idea because the same appreciation that's happening in Pickering right now, it's spreading as consumers demand and they start going out for more product. It's a good idea to go out there and wait. Your property will appreciate. So don't worry about Pickering. Let the Pickering people have their thing.
Not just east, but also going north.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. You got to find that in between. Don't reach Barrie. If you reach Barrie, you're messed up again. But right in between.
And for us up here in Canada, I mean, if you're gonna go north, you definitely need a navigator. Hey!
Yes, plug away, man. Plug away.
Come back in, you need a navigator. Is the weather kind of rougher,
Yeah, man.
and if you're gonna stay in Pickering, you're gonna need the financial navigator.
Yes, sir. Listen, you go on, man. Plug away. I'm loving this.
This can keep going.
you're gonna need the money navigator, man.
Let's navigate to the next article.
Right. Oh yeah, so this is about the businesses.
Yeah.
about the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy for the companies that needed to pay out that so that they don't have to lay off folks.
Yeah.
So they
So
get
they updated their calculator. So what does that mean? Like, I mean,
well, essentially what they say, there's certain income level that you have to be at or not at in order to qualify.
this is for employers, right? Not
For
employees.
employers, that's
Employers,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to be at a certain income level in order to, or
Yeah,
you're missing
before
out.
I think initially you had to have 40,000 of payroll revenue to qualify for CEWS, Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. I
All
think
these acronyms,
they've
boy.
lowered that. They've lowered that. Last I saw, I don't know if this is yet another one, but last I saw you could qualify for about 30 in payroll expenses. But the truth is, most small businesses run like Keisha and I. We are our business.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't pay myself, or if I pay myself, I ain't getting $40,000 worth of salary from my business. It's not there. That's not where where we're at. But I hope everybody realizes this is the government's way of kind of passing the buck back. They're subsidizing businesses so that businesses can get the economy rolling.
That's right.
That's what that is.
So they can get some tax revenue.
They need the taxes because we got to pay all this back. I hope people know that.
Thank you very
Yeah.
Oh, help me.
You're saying it again, Adri. You're dropping it on us because we said this.
Yeah, we got to pay it back, and this takes us into this navigates us into the next one.
Yeah.
Which is
Let me see if I can increase the size here of this one.
Which is the on
the deficit.
The province of Ontario's deficit.
Yeah.
So Ontario's budget deficit more than doubled from March to the end of June, 38.5 billion.
That's billion with a B.
Yeah, this article came out on Wednesday, right?
Right.
With a B, all right. Officials pegged the deficit at 17 billion in the end of March, growing to 20.5 billion. Oh, that's some serious numbers.
Yep, and the unemployment rate is growing as well. So the ability for the province to make that back is also being questioned. So right now, when we were in sink or swim mode, everybody was like, oh, the government's doing great things. Now it's a political issue because the parties now are bickering, one saying you're doing too much without checks and balances, the other one saying you're not doing enough. And suddenly our survival through this pandemic, our economic survival, is now a political issue. And you're going to have to vote your economic survival. I don't know how we're supposed to do that. Rock in a hard place, anyone?
Oh my goodness, very much so.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that one. And
Conservatives, Liberal NDP. Conservatives, Liberal NDP.
Somebody vote for me now. Vote for me.
Right. You know what? Right now, I'm casting my vote on the Money Navigator. So let's go over to the Money Navigator. And
yes, sir.
I am Hadriana Leo, and I approve this message.
That's right.
There you go. There you go.
That's right.
You know what? Yeah, thanks for having me. I didn't plan anything because I see the way you guys roll. There's so much we can talk about. Last night I was on with Pastor Parker talking about finances and stress and mental health and its impacts. And I'm seeing a lot of that in my practice these days. You know what happened? You know this picture of the lady that stands on the vent or like the pothole cover and the wind blows and raises her skirt.
Yeah,
Marilyn Monroe.
You know the picture.
Oh yeah.
That's what coronavirus has done to a lot of people's finances. It kind of show your business to people that have no business seeing your business, because finances are always so hush hush and secret. But because of what's happening with the pandemic, a lot of it now is out. You know, a lot of people had to take CERB. People had to go from earning what, $5,000-$6,000 a month to putting their hand out to the government for a pittance of $2,000.
Yep.
So You're
A
seeing
pittance
a lot of
indeed.
that.
A
Yes,
pittance indeed.
I
You
must
know,
let you go. I must
people
let you
may
know,
think
madam.
that that's a big deal, even if they weren't making that per month. But it's, with all the problems that the coronavirus has caused, man, that just disappears.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, Adriana, you have another voter. One, Stacey Brown is voting for you.
Yes, my
Also,
Stacey. Yes. You know why? Because I'm supposed to do her kiddonomics again tomorrow.
Stacey, shout out to Stacey. And by the way, guys, yeah, watch the chat window. So just in case, I
Yeah,
may
yeah.
miss something. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love the fact that I'm getting votes, but the truth is we have to figure out a way to bounce ourselves out of this pandemic. And when the wind blows and shows off your business when nobody's supposed to see, you have to learn to wear trousers. You know what I mean?
My gosh.
Can't keep walking the same route with your big wide umbrella skirt doing
Yeah.
the same thing and not expect the same thing to happen. You're going to have to find a way to either weigh down the hem of your dress or you're going to have to wear trousers. And pretty much
Put some
that's
weights in there.
yeah, that's pretty much what's happening right now. And unfortunately, some people are so stuck. The truth is, we are living paycheck to paycheck. And I say this to people and they don't always get it. This is a from the top down problem. So our federal government is in debt. Our provincial government is in debt.
Yes.
Our municipalities are not
Yep.
allowed to run deficits, but for heaven's sake, they're in debt.
Yep.
The people who employ us are in debt. What do you think is going to happen with us? From the top down, this is a society that seems to embrace the debt burden and has normalized it. So everybody thinks, well, it's my lot in life. I have to have a $600,000 house with a $500,000 mortgage that by the time I finish pay the mortgage, I've paid over $1 million. Hello.
Wow, yeah.
It doesn't have to be normal, right? And we have the opportunity to do different and make debt the odd man out, make debt the experience that we don't have to live with. And I mean, I don't know if any of you guys are expecting in your lifetime to save up $600,000 to buy your house when you're 99. But
No,
I
when
mean,
98.
98. Wow!
He's ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, there's a place for debt. That's what I'm saying. There's a place for it. It helps us leverage time so we can get to certain things before we have to save it all ourselves. But we got to watch it. We have to work our way to managing it and not having it control our lives. And right now, that's what's happening.
All right. So tell us about your
This methodology.
methodology,
The Money Navigator methodology.
your money,
Sounds
your
big.
trademark Money Navigator methodology.
Yes, yes. I love big words, man. It makes me sound so bright. And sometimes people just wondering, what did you just say? But essentially, you know what? What I found out when, I'll tell you my experience, when I was the traditional financial advisor, when I was the one, managing other people's money, I was very well educated. I had a lot of exams to pass to get through, to get my licensing and all that jazz.
Give us some of that background before you actually go into that. So tell us, a little bit about yourself, the qualification, the education, all of these different things.
Okay, where do I start? Well, I was born in...
Yeah, let's go with that. Continue.
Yes, in the lovely island of St. Lucia. But yes, yeah. Ooh, so Cap State, that's all you know.
That's all I know.
That's what you get for testing.
That's all I know.
That's one of his hard questions. I don't know. Yeah, but I emigrated to Canada as an adult, which is very different from a lot of people. You come as a child, maybe. So both my husband and I are first generation Canadians. And I'll tell you, one of the first things that happened to us, we were here, I think, about 2 years. And at the time we lived in Scarborough. close to Lawrence and McCowan. We were renting a basement apartment. And we went to Soon Lee. I don't know if anybody remembers Soon Lee that used to be at Lawrence and Markham Road. I went to Soon Lee to buy groceries. The groceries came to about $30. And I swiped my card and the thing said declined.
Oh boy, listen.
The thing said declined.
Listen, is
So I said,
we're walking around like that for a while.
Listen. But I mean, I know I have money. I must have money because I know what I put in the bank. I know there's money there. Swipe again, decline. Anyways, long story short, someone had, I don't know if it was my card or my husband's card, someone had duplicated our card from one of those scammy gas station thingies.
Yes.
And they went from one Max Convenience ATM to the next, because this is now we finding this out at the bank when I went in to figure out what happened. And at every Max Convenience, they took out 500. And when they couldn't get 500, it's amazing. They take out 100. When they couldn't anymore, they take 20. Anyway, that's not the meat of the matter. Here it is. I went to the bank and we figured all this out. And this man is saying to me, we will investigate and we will look to have your funds replenished to you in 3 to 6 weeks.
That's what they do.
What am I going to eat in the meantime?
Brother, and it was the end of the month. I have rent to pay, right? So I remember going home and calling my sister in New York and crying. Oh, you know, the ugly cry?
Yeah.
My sister gave me one long distance slap.
Yeah.
Diana gave me one long distance slap and she said to me, girl, shake yourself and get yourself together. Go back to the bank and demand that you get your money back because you didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, we had our accounts. The money was given back to us in a day and a half.
What did you say to them?
I was about to ask. That was so.
I mean, what or who did you take? Who did you take with you?
Nobody. You know what I did? I armed myself.
You see that? Oh boy.
Listen, I armed myself. I realized my sister said, no, call the ombudsman. I say, who? Call the ombudsman. So I went back to the bank and I noticed they have, you know, the leaflets and stuff they have there.
Yeah.
Boy, I said, I need to see the manager again and I need to see him right away. If you do not resolve this immediately, I will call the ombudsman and I will report this and I will ensure that this bank has to answer and pay me interest. I talk like I knew what I was talking about. Listen, no word of a lie. I said in the office, I said, I will open this door and make sure everybody in the line knows that by virtue of me doing nothing wrong, you're going to hold my money hostage for 3 to 6 weeks. I was about to bring the angry Black woman.
Ooh.
Yes. That's right.
That mad Black woman.
I learned a lot from that experience. I learned, one, the first answer is usually not the best. I was ready to settle for 3 to 6 weeks because I thought I had no other choice. I just thought that was the way it was. Second, I learned there was a lot I didn't know about money in this country. I didn't know. I had no choice. And third, I had what I believe was a Black woman's experience in finances.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You're hitting all the nails.
Listen, I learned the lesson hard and fast. We were in the country maybe 2 years at that point. And I determined at that time, I remember saying to Celis that cow work. You know, I don't ugly cry for no reason. You don't make a woman ugly cry if she doesn't have to. Right? So it was pretty much a situation where I had to decide, I need to figure out where I go to learn this stuff. I have to figure out who is teaching, nobody, and who is inviting me, nobody. And where are these conversations happening? Not where
Everywhere.
I was, right? So it's happening in corners, in places, but nobody's inviting us to the table and we don't even know these things are happening. So That was the beginning. That was the beginning. I went on, I had kids, I stayed home for 5 years or so with them. And then I got licensed as a financial services representative.
Okay.
And I
Awesome.
managed people's money. I did that for a number of years. What you
You
laughing
did-
at, KP?
You had a
You did the
pregnant
OSC.
pause there. I manage people's money.
Yes.
And then she continued.
What did you do? What was it? Ontario Securities Commission, all of that.
I did all of that. So
Okay.
I went on, I started out just having the mutual fund license.
Mutual funds, right?
I went on to being able to manage stocks and trade stocks and multiply money beautifully. I have to say, I really enjoy investing. I did the insurance licensing as well. So fundamentally, on an education side, I move money and I know how to move money. I know how to multiply it. But here's the shocker. While I had all this knowledge,
Yeah.
I used to wait for my tax refund, thanks to my tax return, to pay off my credit cards.
Mm.
What? Somebody say
Why
there's
are you
a
hitting?
hypocrite.
Why are you hitting those? Why you're not supposed to be?
I tell you why, KP. I'm
Because-
telling you why. It's because it wasn't until I acknowledged some truths about my own experience, I
Yeah.
had to get naked with my own self before I could figure out how to get out.
Well, you have
And I'm sharing this now. My husband probably hates when I share these things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the reality that so many of us live with and settle for.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was the ultimate hypocrite, man. I knew it all. I know it all. Well,
You
almost.
said it's paycheck to paycheck, waiting
Paycheck
for
to paycheck.
that refund.
Yep, that
just
refund
settle
was.
things.
There came a point where I just had to say, you know what, this can't continue. This is not working. I said that this is the last time a refund clears a debt. My refunds from now on need to take me on vacation.
Right.
That's right.
Right? It needs to take me out. It needs to take me places. It needs to broaden my experiences because, well, right now I don't get refunds. And we're going to talk about that because truthfully, if you're getting a refund, you've just given the government your money to use for a year and they're giving it back to you with no interest. I'm just saying. That's another, that's our other
deep.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to have you
That's
back
today,
to that
right?
one.
Because I'm writing that.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's a big deal. People bank on those refunds, and really and truly, I tell Mr. Trudeau how much I'm giving him, and he's not getting it a day early.
You have his number.
I have no problems paying taxes. Don't get it twisted like they say. I have no problems paying taxes. I love the country we live in and I love all the amenities that we get as a result.
Yeah.
You need to learn the system. And that was kind of what went into me doing what I do. I had to learn the system and it was my own experience that said to me, it's not what you know, it's what you do.
Right.
It's not in the knowing, it's in the doing. And if you know it and you're not doing it, there's a disconnect. Something's happening in between that you don't always understand how to plug things back together. And that's my work right now. So I no longer manage other people's money. I coach. I coach because the fundamental disconnect usually has something to do with what's happening in your head.
Right.
And not so much about the numbers.
All right. We just have to have a little plug here. We're here live on Dollars and Cents with the Money Navigator, Adriana Leo. We're here every week from 1 until 2. And so this week we have the Money Navigator, Adriana, and she's giving us tips and stuff. So
dropping bombs.
Go ahead.
Dropping them bombs.
She did a good job of setting it up, man, and setting herself up and giving us a background and all that. You know, so in terms of what you do now, the methodology, we come back to it, right? You know, you help folks to understand, because of course, you know, this is going towards the Black community. Everybody's watching this, but you know, we're aiming it towards our folks and helping us, come out of some of the
Yeah.
okay,
our money,
navigate our finances well, navigate our
expensive for
situation well,
dollars.
our
Yep.
dollars too, right?
Yep.
So talk to us now about, all that you have garnered so far, and now
Yeah.
you're putting
Give
it
us some coaching.
to us.
Give us some
Yeah.
coaching.
Nah, man, you too complex, Mr. Wade.
Don't tester. I warned you, don't tester.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, uncomplicate me.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
I like it. I like
You
it.
know what? That's a good thing because finances are not complicated and we complicate it.
Mm.
So don't waste time making something complicated when it's not. I think that's a big thing. We have been kind of programmed into thinking that only certain people understand money and certain people can do well with finances.
Right.
Hogwash. This is not true. Like a preacher used to say, it is a lie from the pit of hell.
And you sounded just like KP right there.
He used to be my pastor.
Well, you see, he kept digging until he got that. Okay, now that he knows, continue, Hadrian. Don't worry about him.
Oh, no. Listen, it's truth though. Finances don't have to be complicated. And one of the things I strive to do with clients is to simplify. The first aspect we always deal with is getting clarity. You have to understand where every penny is going. And I know people like to use the word budget. I don't have a problem with you allocating money, but I think historically, the word budget makes people think of handcuffs.
Okay.
And the whole idea of having a budget, people feel restricted, they feel restrained, they feel like I want to do what I want to do.
Right.
So
is that the concept that made you come up with the whole Navigator?
yeah, I use
Okay.
I create cash flow plans. I don't
Okay.
create budgets. And
Okay.
I don't even come up with it. The client comes up with it. Because if I tell you what to spend, that's a no-go.
Yeah.
That's another handcuff.
You'll fight me every step of the way. But if you determine that that's what you want to do, you are more likely to stick with it if you have a coach at your side that's saying to you, yes, this is how I do it. This is how we can make this happen, right? So the reason why I chose the term navigator, I don't know if you guys ever tried this. Have you ever tried driving and looking up directions at the same time?
Yeah.
No, we're safe.
Work well.
You're a
No,
safe.
I have. It don't work well.
It don't work well.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with what I do. I navigate, but you get to drive.
Okay.
Always driving, you're always in control. You can switch the destination at any time, but my job is to determine the best path to get you there based on what you want out of your life, because we don't all want the same things.
Right.
I hate those people. Well, I don't hate people, pardon me. I really strongly dislike
The attitude.
the attitude of people who say that this is how it has to be done. This is the only way, this is what works. Obviously, nothing else gonna work because this is what works for them. Everybody wants to copy Warren Buffett and be another Bill Gates. Truth be told, that might not be your lot. That might not be you. And even just
a Warren, but no Buffett. A Bill, but no Gates.
No Buffett, man. No Buffett.
What?
Actually, one of the things that I love with Hadrian as well is that she includes the treat in her.
Yes.
In her cash flow plans.
You gotta reward yourself.
You mean
if there's no reward, you ain't doing it.
Name for budget, cash flow plan.
Cash flow plans, because cash flow plans allow you to allocate your money, and it anticipates an ebb and flow. It anticipates that money will come and money will go. Budgets are very static and they lock you in really, really tight confines. Cash flow plans allow for the fact that life happens. It allows for the fact that every season will not be spring in your life. Sometimes your financial season is winter, where on the outside, things are not looking that great. but on the inside, you're regenerating. You've come in on yourself to heal and prepare and get things together so that when spring comes, you can show the world that you haven't been dead all this time. You were just planning, you were grooming, you were nurturing, and you were feeding yourself. And all of that means we have to anticipate cycles. You're not always going to be booming. No,
Right.
that is unrealistic.
So give us some real life scenarios
Oh
or
boy. Boy.
hypothetical, in terms of setting up some of the queuing up some of the things that you mentioned so far, cash flow and
I have a good one for you. I
Mhm.
have a client. Well,
And sorry, and of course, I'm just throwing this out there because I do want you to talk about before we get off, what you said about the refund from the government and
oh,
how
mercy.
just so we don't forget.
What
All
did I
right.
just do?
So
Okay, fine. No
let's
problem.
start because in terms of the audience right now that we're hitting, individuals are managing money. It might not be large sums, and it's definitely addressing some of the things that you mentioned. Waiting for that lump sum to come,
Yeah,
at the end of the year or paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes you're not managing that credit card right, or
that's
the
right.
things are the money is funny and the change is strange.
Money is funny. You got it
Yeah.
right. Well, I have a good example of the behavioral application of the Money Navigator methodology. I worked
Right.
with a young couple out
And
in
sorry. And of course,
outside of, I don't know who that was. That was you, wasn't it? Never. So I had a young couple I worked with outside the GTA.
hmm
They were having a lot of conflict
Yeah.
in managing their money. They had very different approaches. The man in the relationship, very quiet, unassuming, but he was very, very rigid. He had
hmm
no problem just saving money,
hmm
even if it means he didn't get to do the things he wanted to do. He'd put money away, save it, no problem. His partner, on the other hand, had she struggled a lot
hmm
with being forced to do without.
hmm
Okay, so we have two different people, and this is probably a typical couple. You
hmm
have to think, if you're a good couple, most likely you complement each other. That means opposites attract.
Yeah.
So in this instance, that's the same thing with their finances. They were not making it, it was not working. Anyways, long story short, enter Hadriana, the money navigator, and I had to understand these two personalities before we started creating a plan that works for them. And both of them, first of all, I don't work with couples if I see any sort of abuse or control issues. You
hmm
need to go to therapy.
Right.
But in a relationship where it's obvious they love each other, they're ready to support each other, when we go in, first thing I had to identify was, one, both of you are opposites, but both of you need to lend your strength to the other person's weakness. So one, I'll call him Bob. Bob was very good at putting money away. I had him take charge of the savings strategy. And Mary was very good at life experiences, and she craved that. So she was in charge of creating mini experiences that would allow both of them to use their money in a way that both of them could connect
hmm
and still thrive. So, understanding the personalities involved, they created a plan with my guidance that allowed them to save and have the small rewards over time. They had little staycations and all of that. She did not feel that she was being restricted or restrained, and he did not feel that they were blowing all their money away. Long story short, December 2019, the day before Christmas, I was in St. Lucia, I remember. I got an email from them. She said, Mary, I have to make sure I don't say her name. Mary sent me an email and said, hey, Adriana, thank you for working with us throughout 2018. This is a year after I worked with them. With your guidance, we saved $30,000 to the down payment of our house. We moved into our new house December 19, 2019. Boom.
Boom.
Mic
Right?
drop.
Right? Mic drop. Okay, pen drop.
Yeah.
Right? And it isn't that they didn't know how to manage money. It was that both of them were taking very different approaches that was causing conflict.
Right.
But once they understood the nuances of how they related to money, what they needed their money to do, they got on the same page. So I like to think of it as if you have a horse pulling a cart. If one horse pulls this way and one horse pulls that way, the cart is going nowhere. And that's our life if we're married. If both of you are pulling in opposite directions, even if they're great directions, but opposite directions, the cart's not going anywhere, it's going to break down. As a couple, you need to decide what your financial priorities are. That might take some compromise, but as a couple, decide what those priorities are and together move in the same direction, even if your roles are different, but you're going towards the exact same goal. Your financial chariot is now going to move with you. Phenomenal experience with them. They're young people, so they're not too jaded, and I didn't have too much trouble moving them. The older people that I work with, a little more stuck in our ways, a little more wanting a little more freedom. It's a little harder. So that sometimes, especially if we have resistance from one party or the other, that gets interesting. But a simple thing you can do is get clarity on where your money is going. Every penny. And I mean down to the pennies they don't even make anymore. Until you really understand where it's going, everybody assumes that they know. So I'll tell you that part of the initial information gathering I do with clients, I ask them to give me an idea of where their money is going. Pick a typical month. So not December, so not Christmas, because we spend like we stupid sometimes. And if you have a lot of birthdays in a month, not that month, give me a typical month and give me an idea of what you're spending. And then I ask them to do some tracking. If I ask you to track your spending for groceries and you come back and you tell me you spent $400, I know you lie. I know you lie. Because there isn't a single item in the grocery store that cumulatively you add it up and you're going to get 400.00. You lie. Right? And that's what I want. Go ahead, Keisha.
No, I was going to say, even with the, I don't know if we'll have time to even tap into this, but that scenario that you gave with that young couple, I know that recently you've launched a program that will help people to actually get into, purchasing their first home, based on your guidance in a similar type of, just as how you helped that particular couple there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe you can do this. You gave us one scenario, and you showed us the problem, and you showed us how you helped them to navigate properly and all that. Give us a couple scenarios. Like Keisha just mentioned a home one, right?
Yes.
Maybe you have a couple more on that type of thing, and that just to help us to grasp exactly how you're putting this in
or maybe
at work.
Yeah, or maybe if I don't know if you have a sample flow chart you could show us or something like that. Or
well, I can, let me see if I click around and find it. It'll give you an idea of what the process looks like.
Right.
Coach with me. But I can think of a 19-year-old I had when I started working with her. Her mom said, "You need to work with me." And you wouldn't believe the anxiety this child was dealing with just around money at 19. And to get behind and figure out what was happening with her, I had to understand her history. She is one of those people who actually went from a scenario of great affluence to divorce and turn off the lights and make sure you don't waste the water. And I don't know how I'm going to keep this house going, blah, blah, blah. She had, I guess, you went from affluence to fear of possible poverty. And the anxiety, to this day, she keeps working really hard to manage that anxiety. But at 19, she was spiraling out based on money. And she literally, I spoke with her not too long ago. She checks her credit card app almost on a daily basis. And it freaks her out. Say that again.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that in her scenario is that here's what she does. And this is another client I had. I'll tell you about what this one does. Every time she looks at it, at the balance, she goes and she runs and she gets $25, $30, and she throws it onto the card because she just wants to see the balance disappear.
Oh,
It
okay.
increases her anxiety and it makes her, it gives finances too much of a focus in her life. And what do you think her balance is? $400. No kidding, I'm telling you straight. It's probably it hovers in the $300 or $400 range, and it's causing her anxiety. Anyway, here's another scenario for you, and this is why I think a lot of times we need guidance. I worked with a single woman. I think she was in her mid-40s. Single, has an apartment, has a good job. She also struggles with debt. This one was also cultural. I'll tell you that she's Jewish. In her culture is usually deemed to be affluent.
Affluent, right?
Right? That was not her. She could get rescued by mom and dad, and oftentimes she did. Mom and dad would, throw some money her way. But here's the problem. With her, she had credit card debt that she's struggling to bring down. When we looked at her numbers, here's what was happening. This lady would bring in, after taxes, about $3,000 a month, right? She would take care of her rent, which was in the range of $1,200 or so, her groceries, her car insurance, and all of that. But in addition to that, every month, she would make cumulatively about $2,000 in credit card payments. Now, work the math with me.
Yeah.
She is actually sabotaging herself trying to get out of debt, because what she's saying, she's taking the cash that's in the bank to pay off the credit card, but she runs out of cash in the bank, and guess what she uses now? The credit card. Right? And that's, it sounds so obvious when it's not us in it, but trust me, she thought she was doing a great thing.
I'm listening to that scenario, and yeah, like I know a lot of people who were or who are in that situation.
Of course,
and that's the approach that they take,
You're taking every penny you see and you're plowing it into debt. But here's the thing, because she didn't have clarity on her financial obligations, she would go in, she'd get her every 2-week deposit, let's say $1,500 would land there. Maybe that week she only had her rent and maybe one other thing. Whatever's left, she would throw it on the credit card, forgetting that the following week, insurance still needs to come out. And she has to change the oil for the car and wait, groceries and all of these things, because she never really had the overall picture. And if you understand the overall full circle picture, you would understand that the money that's still sitting in your checking account is actually not extra. It's already spoken for next week and the week after that, before the next paycheck comes in. So a lot of the things that I help clients with, it's things that might sound like, oh, that's common sense. But brethren, when it's right up in front of your nose, you don't see it. If your nose flat like mine, you definitely don't see it.
Was she able to at least bring that under control, or?
We did. So part of the plan we came up with is taking a look at her overall financial obligations. Creating a saving strategy, because I don't care how much debt you have, while you're taking care of reducing your debt load, you must start a savings habit. Right? So we put that into the plan for her. We put into the plan for her a specific amount that will, because I do accelerated debt elimination, I could tell her to the month when she was going to be debt free, right? And instead of thinking she had a couple of credit cards and so on, I had her debt free in about 1.5 years without having to compromise the rest of her life experience. Right?
KP, you asked that question. You're dealing with a navigator. Of course, that was gonna be the outcome.
I don't leave people hanging, man. I can't do that. They wouldn't pay
No.
me if they
Exactly.
did.
This
If
is the
I did.
navigator you're talking about. And just to let you know, that both these ladies are getting shout out, the navigator and Keisha by Sherby Sherb online, because with their knowledge and planning advice, they made him or her a home owner. So you guys are getting a shout out on Facebook in the chat.
Yeah.
But
Thanks, Shirley.
this is some
Yes,
good
Shirley.
We
It's a
just
stuff.
chop
him.
liver.
It's
It's
a
okay.
him, by the way.
Say what?
We just chop liver, but it's okay. Shout outs to Hadrian.
No, no, that's all right. That's all right. We're just the host, man. We just here. We just here. You see, ours will come later when
Yeah. Yeah,
when they
don't worry. Don't worry. There are a lot of people who actually love liver, baby.
they
So you can be chopped liver to each his own, man.
Oh,
especially
there
with
she,
onions, with the
oh,
onions.
she even knew how to navigate that scenario just to make sure we don't feel left out. Yeah,
Listen,
Yeah.
I need
liver
to
is
be
nice.
invited back. You need to say good things.
Liver is nice.
So navigator,
Yes, sir.
um, for our visual learners,
Oh,
do you have any of those sample flowcharts that you can
I'll give you an idea. You see, I was so excited I forgot to click around. Let me go clicking around now. Let me see if I can find the
Right,
screen.
man.
I
Clickety
I've already enabled the sharing, so whenever you're ready.
in the time that we have left.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here's what the process looks like
Yeah.
to work with me.
Mhm.
Okay.
I use the acronym of CARE because I think a lot of what's missing in finances is some judgment-free, honest nurturing. I think we need to stop judging one another because we made a mistake. We need to let go of the shame. Anyway, my coaching is uses the acronym of CARE. It
Mhm.
stands for clarity, alignment, results, and evolution. We take you through that entire process with your money. And it starts with goal setting. We need to establish some very clear and concise goals of what you want to get out of the scenario here. Um, if you have no goals, you're going nowhere. You really are. You're going to spin your wheels and it's going to be like a treadmill. Then
Mhm.
we have the discovery where we really gather all the information we need to get clear. Then the plan development. And I walk with you through implementation. And I think that's where a lot of people miss. A lot of us have a plan, but for whatever reason, a lot of it is accountability to ourselves. We have trouble implementing. And one of the great things about implementing is that if I get to stick by your side, we don't just implement, but we get to tweak. Because something that on paper might say, oh, that's going to work beautifully, when it's time to actually put it into action, you're like, yeah, this ain't working. This is
Mhm.
just not working. We need to tweak. So the implementation stage is actually critical, and you get that accountability. And then we have the maintenance where you have ongoing support. As long as you need it, I'm there. As long as you need it and you're paying, I'm there for you. But that's essentially the process. And that process actually unfolds differently for different people. For the 19-year-old, it was 1 or 2 sessions every now and then. For
Mhm.
the couple that might be a new couple, it's really helping them understand each other. Sometimes I do feel like a therapist, and because my work is coaching and nurturing, I do have to bring that into the mix. Even for the older couples, the people who have independently managed their money for a long time and now they're married and they're like, you ain't touching my money. You don't need to know. You don't need to see. Like, you stay there and I'll stay here. I've had situations where couples who got together later in life, they actually do not assume each other's debt.
Mhm.
So it is on your debt. You came with your debt. You need to pay your debt off. You blah, blah, blah. You need to do that, and so on. But as a result, they never actually understand the full scope of their finances. Because if I have to take care of my debt by myself with my money, your money is not going to help me with my debt, then my money cannot help us, right? Because I have to take care of that debt over there by myself. But if you make a plan to say, okay, this is our joint debt load, this is what we're dealing with, and you work on it together strategically, and there, that's a whole other conversation as well. You will be out of debt that much sooner. You can move debt around to lower interest options like Keisha might be able to share about, where you can pay it off that much faster because the interest and the carrying, the burden of carrying that is that much lighter for you. So you don't have to have joint accounts. I don't care if you have joint accounts or not, but as a couple, finances, no secrets, no secrets, right? So how the care coaching actually plays out, it's different for every single person that I work with, but I think it works for every single person that I work with. But I always say this, I'm the coach, but you're the athlete. You got to do the work. You have to
Right.
work. If you're going to beat Bolt, your coach is not running for you. You better get on the track and run. Your coach will tell you how to move your arms, how to move your body off the starting block. Your coach is there to show you and guide you, but you better know you got to do the work.
You got to do the work.
Yeah. There. Can I take off my screen now, Wade?
Unless you have something else in there.
Nah, man.
We're good. We're good.
No.
Now that I've seen it, I believe.
You believe. You're a believer. Oh, ye of little faith, how long will I tarry with you? Never.
How long? All right, so we're at 1:59. So you got okay. We got to hit up what you said.
The taxes.
You got
You're like a dog with a bone, KP.
He's been waiting for that piece. Salivating.
I'm
All right.
not letting it go.
Okay. So the whole idea of taxation from source, so from your income, it is designed based on the only thing your employer sees is how much they're paying you, right? So the marginal tax rate tables are their guide. If you make between this and this, that's the formula, this and that, that's the formula, what have you. What they don't see, because it may not be happening at source, is you are making charitable contributions. You are contributing to RSPs, right? Or you might be using other investment vehicles that allow you to defer taxes or what have yous. What happens every single time you get a refund is that the government has taken too much tax. And the thing about it that grates on me is this: if you are not smart enough to tell the government they've taken too much tax, they are not going to volunteer and say to you, by the way, oops, we took too much tax, here's your money back. So many consumers, because they forget to declare or they forgot to keep a receipt, have literally given the government too much money and will never see it again, right? As an employee, you can adjust that. I forget the exact number of the form, but if you know,
I'm looking it up.
If you know that you have a child with a disability, for example, or if you are contributing RSPs or what have you, that form says take into account certain criteria where I should not be taxed, certain dollar values where I should not be taxed, and lower my tax obligation. That way, you may still end up getting a refund, but less of your money is going to the government, which means more in your pocket to do what you need to do. Instead of waiting for a lump sum in April to come back to you, imagine if you had that extra $100 a month that you were investing and compounding and saving and growing for you on a continuous basis. Imagine. So that's the thing with the tax refund. If you're not smart enough to tell them they owe you, they're not going to declare it. So many of us are leaving tons of money on the table. But if you sit with your accountant, if your accountant is worth the accounting fee, they should be able to help you figure out and plan your taxes instead of getting a surprise in April. So at the beginning of the year, sit with your accounting professional. This has been your track record, so far. Let's bring that back. Instead of getting a $3,000 refund, let's get you down to a $500 or $600 refund. That's a lot of money in your pocket throughout the year that you can actually live off of, or save, or invest, or create opportunity for yourself.
Okay.
It's the at source. It's the at source deduction form.
That's right.
That you can fill out with the employer. You can do it for RSPs. You can use it for if you're in ministry, man's allowance, different aspect of things.
Disability, all that good stuff is in there to allow us to keep more of our money in our pocket.
Right. And so, but your return, as Adriana mentioned, will be less, but
more in your pocket
throughout the year.
And hopefully more in your pocket, not to spend and waste, but to use strategically. That's the idea.
And that's where the discipline comes in. You have to be disciplined in order to do that, and to find the right vehicle to use to use that money on. And so that's you go to the Navigator to help you.
Go to the Navigator.
Yeah.
Truth is, we're not all disciplined. Not all of us can say do this and do this. There are tricks you can play. There are tricks I play. One of the let me see if I show you out. Let me see if I can.
Here comes the visual aid.
So you can't see any numbers here. So one of the things I give to my clients is this. So this little card has, I don't know if it's showing right for you. It has my dream goals. And it is in front of my most used swiping tool. So my debit card is right behind that card because that's how I typically pay for things.
Okay.
So before I make a decision to buy something, I have to go past my goals every time.
Okay.
And because my goals are, I've got some big ones, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10-year goals right here. Every spending decision I make, I have to ask myself, is this going to help me achieve my goal? Is this going to compromise my ability to reach my goal? Sometimes I have to walk away, right? Because what I'm about to spend money on is not going to help, right? But
I like that.
I use it on myself. And for the person who does not innately just naturally have self-discipline and, an army sergeant was your father and you're like, chip, blah, blah, blah. There are tricks you can use to kind of help yourself.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
One of the things that where you watching your watch.
I listen, you're not going to say I'm the one that kept talking. No, sir.
Listen,
one of the things
I saw that, but she's not saying anything, but
I'm happy to keep talking, but you're not going to say I'm the one that took over your thing.
You know what? Adriana, we definitely have to have you back, KP. We definitely have to have her back because I wanted to delve into this thing, something that she said about moving debt around.
Yes.
Right? That's because sometimes we get those credit card with zero to move your balance and the zero insurance for X amount. Is it something like that you're talking about, or?
Not quite. I don't like to move from credit card to credit card because usually the time frame that they give you, like 0% for 6 months.
Yeah. So that's not the idea then. So that means we will get you back to talk about what we have, what that means.
What's your schedule like next Thursday?
Oh Lord.
Actually, even not just for that, but as I said, Adriana just launched the home ownership guide. With regards to helping those out there that are struggling and want to get in. A step by step as how to actually accomplish that goal. So that's a whole other.
Clear.
3 years or less, man. 3 years or less, and we're getting you into a $500,000 house.
Clear that schedule.
We won't have any $500,000 houses.
Oh, they are there. Trust me.
Keisha can find those, right?
No, well, Anisha will find them, but
Anisha,
yes,
right?
Keisha will ensure that we fund it, right? There are, I think, we were looking at investment places. We found a $200,000 apartment in Toronto, in Scarborough. I'm not kidding.
All
There
right.
are opportunities, and you
Okay.
need to find them. Strategic, man.
Strategic. That is right. Right. That's where and on if we can find it, you can find it here on dollars and cents, making sense of your dollars. Today we
Yes.
have Money Navigator Adriana Leo, and she got big shout outs along with Keisha Johnson for helping someone find one of those houses, making them a homeowner. My gosh. KP, maybe if we stick with these ladies, we'll become owners too, or we get
Listen.
Shout outs to the liver. Shout outs to the liver.
Well, dollars and cents bringing knowledge
Yeah.
to those
Providing
in the
our
community.
community with knowledge.
Knowledge and opportunity to those
Knowledge
in the
and
community.
opportunity.
Yay.
man.
So,
All right.
we just want to say thank you for coming with us today and dropping some knowledge on us,
Yes.
navigating us through the what's that thing? The cash flow plan, and showing us your care system. My goodness, we're just so happy that we were able to. And for all our viewers who were watching and who will watch, let me tell you, you got to get in touch with Adriana Leo or Money Navigator. And
you're on Facebook. Oh, that's what you Keisha, you didn't put that in the chat window. Put those things in the chat window, or like you're on Facebook. I'm
on Facebook. My website's up. I mess around with Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. Listen, there aren't many people in the world who spell Hadriana Hadriana.
And that's why. And that's why we're Jamaican, because Adrian.
Praise be, hallelujah. The H is there, and please pronounce it.
That's right.
Type your contact information in the chat there, Adriana, so that
all right,
can copy and paste it into our chat.
I'm gonna put it here in Facebook.
Okay.
I think if it'll let me. Ta-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's what I do when Money Navigator.
I'm putting your Facebook link right in the chat. So there we go.
Awesome.
So anywhere you look me up, just look up Money Navigator. You will find me there. When we get off here, I'll put some more details in for those who will see the replay. You can find me there. And I have to say, judgment free, but for every client that I take on, I offer you a complimentary 1 hour.
Yay.
And my 1 hour, I guarantee whether or not you work with me, you will get at least 2 or 3 action steps to get you going. A lot of this is ministry for me. So I gotta eat, so I gotta get paid. But the truth is we all have to start somewhere. So a 1 hour free. So come on.
There it is. Morning Navigator. All right, folks, we got to sign off now.
Yes.
Take care of yourself. Until next week.
Until next time.
All right.
You may see Hadriana next week. We'll see.
God.
We'll see.